You mentioned early on in the play, too, that the original title would have been The Narcosis of Now. Yeah. And in our first talk, you said how you thought that was too melodramatic of a title as compared to Medium is the Message. I mean, Medium is This.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, I didn't really think of when I did the title. I came up with the idea the medium is this, and then I worked it into a line and in the play, just as I had the Narcosis of Now. I thought it was less dramatic. And then it was like, oh, it also does connect up with the McLuhan thing. And the McLuhan thing, of course, is how the media is. And we have the media. Is this Danny's dream of a play? Is this a play of a dream? Is this a dream of a dream? And so, again, it's one of those things where I've often talked about having ideas falling down, like the end of James Joyce's The Dead, the snow falling over everything. You have to continually have ideas. In this play, just like in many of the other plays and other books and whatnot, things that happen in my life make themselves, avail themselves within the play. You know, if I go to the dentist, I might have a little anecdote from a dental visit, or if Jessica and I are driving someplace, or if something happens funny with one of our cats, or something at her job or my job, it works its way into the plays. And so the medium is this could also mean the medium is this existence, life, what Danny Wagner experiences overall and how it filters through his work, which is ultimately my work.
I wanted to mention something about that. You have a story called The Elements of the Story where you list some, well, not exactly, how do you say, earth-shattering events, but some events that would still act as fodder. And we talked about in our previous talk how there's really no bad fodder for Dan Schneider. But I was thinking about that more deeply, and do you believe that there is an element of the story, or do you think that most stories are composed of elements, in the sense that there's a large in that would compose the element, and the what surrounds the nucleus are sort of the elements?
I mean, it depends. Sometimes a story, Kiwi just came up to me, so that's who you hear now, and Kiwi has been ill the last week or so she's coming to get, okay, you got to be quiet. Okay, go away. I'll come by you later. I mean, a story can have elements in the sense that, you could, like I list 10 or 12 things that happened within that story. And recently, Chin Zhang had written a post about that story on his blog. But some stories can be just a single stream of consciousness kind of thing where you just go off on a tangent. It all depends on the writing. I mean, we can talk about rules of writing and things of that nature, but ultimately, it's just whatever works. You have to be pragmatic about art. Art is the highest form of communication, but there's also an element of pragmatism in any human endeavor. And Kiwi, would you stop? And that pragmatism, there aren't any necessarily hard and fast rules, but there are general principles that you should adhere to in writing a poem or a story, or similarly if you're making a film or painting a painting.
I think you should give her a petting break.
Yeah, she's Kiwi. I'm gonna put you out. You go by Jessica, and I'm gonna shut the door. Here you go, Kiwi. Okay, I love you. Okay, but yeah, so there are general principles rather than hard and fast rules. It's interesting. I was just talking with this, well, not arguing, but having a conversation with this woman online yesterday on Twitter. A woman named Jessica Bird or something. She's sort of like I think she's a scientist or something. And talking about art, and I linked to a couple of things, my interviews or some other stuff, and I was trying to explain to her what art is. She seemed earnest to a certain degree, but by the same token, whenever you talk about something definitive, like I said, that if you want to know about poetry, you talk to me first. My opinion is more valid than your opinion. Just like if you wanted to talk about basketball, you talk to LeBron James. And people, they get turned off by those kinds of comments, But I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, if I understand uh, whatever the subject is better than she does, or better than this person or that person, you're going to stay there. But people and today at work, the last couple of days, you saw me. I had posted some stuff about some silly stuff a dumb ass boss of mine was doing, and it's just like you just deal with this kind of stuff. But this makes good fodder for art, and so ultimately, it can be good if you turn it good. Like, I'm really tired right now. I haven't had back-to-back days off for months now with my schedule at the job I'm doing now, and so I'm constantly in a state of tiredness. But by the same token, it was similar. It was a similar thing uh, in the when I wrote 27 plays in the 26 weeks last year. I was working a second shift job. I'd come home and I'd had my mornings free basically, but that meant I'd only be sleeping 6.5, 7 hours. But I got on it, and when I'm tired, sometimes things come to you. When I was doing a Norwegian the Family, and some of the and Vincetti Brothers, I was working on the night crew, and when I was off, when I get off of work for a night or two, I would be up writing from 10 at night till 7 or 8 the next morning or whatnot, and I bang out 10, 15, 20,000 words or something, and yet because my mind's tired, and when you push it and you're pushing yourself in that way, amazing things come to you. A lot of people want to take LSD, or they want to take some kind of drugs, alternate states of existence, this kind of shit. But you don't really need that. And it's just amazing what you can do when you really push yourself. And so, just to get back to what I was just going off on a tangent on, you take these things that happen to you, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, but if you just push yourself and push, you try to break through. And if you get to a point where you've worked it so much, and like I said, you have to have the ideas constantly coming, constantly, just keep churning until you get to a point where you know that you can write very well or good or very well on something, and then maybe excellently, and then work your way up to greatness. You just keep pushing, and don't worry uh, about if it works at all, or works partly. I was telling Dan Linden, this other kid who's now been blogging some stuff on me about doing this, and just keep pushing. Just write. I wrote 9, 10,000 poems before I wrote my first great poem, and you just have to keep pushing yourself. But anyway, back to the play.